This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, thank you for joining us. My name's Kathy Cummo, and I'm a project coordinator for JM4C. And for the past 3 years, we've been doing spectrum presentations at the Hedberg Library on LGBTQ issues to help inform family and friends in the community so that they have a better understanding. Because of COVID, we've had to go virtual. So we've been doing presentations online. And today with us, we have Jen, who's going to tell us a little bit about her story. Welcome, Jen.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how and what story you have to bring, do you want to share with us?
Absolutely. So my name's Jen. I was born and raised in Iowa, lived in Chicago for a while, and now am in Madison, Wisconsin, which may be relevant to the story eventually of we've just lived in a lot of different places with a lot of different backgrounds. I'm the mother of two, Jacob, who is nearly 10, and Emma, who is, they would say nearly 7, although the birthday is not actually into December, but they are always trying to catch up with their big brother. Emma is our incredible, lively kiddo who also identifies as non-binary, and I would love to share some of my story as a parent, raising an incredible kiddo, helping them find their way.
Jen, can you explain to us what you mean by non-binary?
Absolutely. So Emma, from a young age, Emma was a super verbal child, and before the age of 2, Emma would tell us that they did not like being called beautiful. Beautiful was a word that was really like harmful to them. They really didn't like it. Emma was assigned female at birth, and we raised Emma using she, her, hers pronouns when they were little. And as they have grown, even by the age of 6, now they have the vocabulary to say, you know, I really don't feel like a boy or a girl. I'm somewhere in between. And some days I feel more like a boy, and some days I feel more like a girl, but like I don't fit in these boxes. And so Emma will tell you that they identify as non-binary, simply meaning that like this boy-girl structure of an either or doesn't fit for them. We would also describe Emma as a bit gender fluid in that their feeling of gender identity changes from one day to the next. Sometimes they feel more like they fit in that boy category. Sometimes they feel more like they fit in the girl category, or some days they just feel like they're neither and they're somewhere in between.
So as a parent, how did you react when Emma first started telling you these things?
Yeah. So I would say one was kind of our first step of talking about this more like officially and naming it was as Emma was heading into kindergarten. And as Emma was coming into kindergarten, Emma wears their hair very short. They love, they always want their hair cut exactly like their brothers. So anything that he's getting his hair cut, like that's what Emma wants. And so we were just helping prepare Emma for what they may encounter and how to like talk about themselves with their classmates. And so that's when at first the conversation with the class was like, Emma's like some days feels like a boy and some days feels like a girl. And then Emma was introduced to they, them, theirs pronouns. And Emma will tell you that they fell in love and came alive when they learned that there was another option. And that like brings tears to my eyes of like, my kid felt like seen in a way they had like never had the vocabulary to be seen in that moment. At the I think in many ways, like I said, we've known this about Emma for like a long time. Like Emma, a lot of people will say at the age of 6, a kid can't know their gender identity, that like we're pushing it as parents. I would tell you that Emma's known this longer than we ever have, and Emma knew this before Emma had words. Like between the nuance of language that they understood at a very quick young age. They would choose their clothes based on how they thought people would react to them and what they wanted what they didn't want people to say would affect what clothes they would choose to wear. It switching to they them pronouns like was a step. Like it took a little bit to it felt like a bigger step of affirming who Emma was, and as excited as we were, it was also like a little scary in part because we knew that that was going to be hard for parts of the world and frankly parts of our family. I shared that we're from Iowa originally. We come from, my husband's family in particular comes from a very conservative background. That continues to be a challenge, and I think that was part of this journey of just knowing. I said to a friend the other day, like, the world's gonna be hard on Emma, and like that breaks my heart, and we're gonna do everything that we can to fiercely protect Emma and to help Emma navigate this in this world. But that was the hardest part of just in helping Emma be fully who they are, which is essential, also knowing that like that's not gonna always be easy.
So what kind of support is there out there for parents who are trying to help their kiddos the best they can?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate to be given several connections. So one, we just have like an affirming group of people that we're sharing life with in general. Again, many people knew this about Emma before like we put words to it, and so our closest inner circle were like, yep, we're ready to roll. Like and we were very fortunate. We also know that's not everybody's reality, right? We there's a group, a couple of different groups. There's a Transparent Wisconsin. There's a transparent group within our school district where parents of trans, non-binary, like gender fluid kiddos, and at first I didn't even know if we fit in that group, right? Because the name is Transparent. I'm like, well, our child doesn't identify as trans, but like there's something here that's not fitting in these boxes, and like I don't even know where we fit in like this world of our like, do we belong in this space, do we not? They've been incredibly welcoming. There's play dates where the kids go and like run around and play, and the adults get a chance to talk and share our stories. There's support groups, which is the same concept. The adults go and hang out while and talk and process and support one another, while the kids get to go play and be around other kids that understand them in a way that like they don't always get to be surrounded by. Scheduling has just like not allowed us to like really be a part of that at this point, but we're excited that those opportunities are out there and those supports exist.
So what do you think going forward the biggest challenges you will have?
Yeah, so like real talk, our biggest challenge right now is, so we started in October. So Emma was 5 and in kindergarten, and is when they were introduced to they, them, theirs pronouns and said like, hey, this like feels right. And we're like, let's try it out. So we tried it out first in just our nuclear family in our house. Let's just like see how this works. I'll be honest with you, it took a lot of practice even for us to switch. They, them, theirs pronouns is new or newer in my vocabulary. It's not something I grew up with. And so we practiced first, like in our nuclear family. And then like that felt good. And Emma goes to a school that is one of the like nationally recognized welcoming schools. And so we're really fortunate to have a super affirming and supportive community. So the class was next, and we've kind of been expanding our circle out since then to now I would say we're like fully out and operational using they, them, theirs pronouns, because code switching is what we were doing for a while, that we would switch back to she, her, hers in some places and they, them, theirs in safe places, was becoming really harmful. Like it was doing damage for Emma to be misgendered. And so we've expanded. Well, that includes extended family, grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles. That's really hard. So we're figuring out right now like what that looks like. Like we maybe sorry, like I can't get through this without being emotional, because like right now, like real time, we're figuring out how do we either stay in relationship or not. Like we may be cutting ties with a significant part of our family because they can't affirm who Emma is right now, and we will not put our child and that kind of harm, because it does do harm. And so we may be taking a break for a while, and we don't know what the time frame is on that. And I'd say that's the hardest thing right now, of like, they love their parents, their grandparents deeply, and they want nothing more than to be fully seen by their grandparents. And their grandparents are not in a place, one set of grandparents is not in a place right now that they're able to do that. And so as parents, we're like navigating those roads, and like, it's hard. It's really hard, but we're gonna get through it, and we have support. And there are other places where Emma gets incredible love. We have an incredible neighbor who is 71, who is like a grandmother to Emma. And like, we're gonna find those places for love for Emma. If we can't get it in biological means right now, like, we'll find other places. But that pain is still real, and navigating what that looks like is gonna be both a short term, like right now we're just in the midst of it, but it's also going to be a long-term challenge of figuring out what does that look like, and allowing it to have room to change over time. That right now we also have COVID cover right now, which is really great, where we can say like, we can't go to Iowa because of COVID, and like, it gives us a minute to catch our breath and figure out the next step. But we might need to take a break, but that also doesn't mean that we're cutting ties forever. But what we come back to is, this is literally a matter of life and death for Emma. Kids who are not given space to be truly celebrated and allowed to be truly who they are don't make it. Like, the suicide rates are terrifying to me as a parent. And so like, the rest of the stuff is hard, but I can't do that. So we'll do everything that we can to protect Emma and to give them that space to grow and shine. But it's not always going to be easy.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know that was hard, but I do think that it gives people who are watching this a better understanding of the challenges that the children face, but also the parents are facing in trying to protect their child. So what would you say to new parents that are just discovering that they have a child who may not fit into those binary categories?
You're not alone. Wherever you are, you're not alone. If you're in the middle of rural Alaska, if you're in the middle of downtown Chicago, wherever you are, you're not alone. There are networks, there's support, there's people out there who want to walk with you. I will walk with you. It's incredible just how quickly people say like, I just want to be with you. I might not know all of the answers, but I want you to know that like, you're not in this alone. We're very fortunate that we have someone who's like very intersectional in our life, works at our kids' school, is a neighbor, and also has a non-binary child who's about a year, just a little bit older than Emma. And just knowing that she's there, like this other mom is there in days where I'm like, how did you tell extended family? Like, how did that go? How do you deal with these things? And just having those networks. There's incredible communities online if you can't get somebody in person. Facebook groups, I mean, you can just like search it out. Like, it's there. People will talk on the phone with you. People will join group chats with you, whatever you need. There's resources there and available for you. And I would also say, like, give yourself grace. Like, when we transitioned pronouns, we messed up. Like, we still mess up sometimes. And that's okay. And we're working to get better each and every day. Our son, our almost 10-year-old, is Emma's fiercest advocate and ally. And that's like the most beautiful thing that we get to watch. I think there's power if you have multiple children. Bring all of your family along in this journey. It's not just about one child, it's about your whole family, and how you come together through it. Jacob's the first to correct someone when Emma's misgendered or their pronouns are wrong. So Emma doesn't have to always be the one correcting and defending themselves. Like, he's their fiercest protector. So you've got this. It's not going to always be easy. There's going to be days of brilliance and beauty, and there's going to be days where you're not sure what side's up and how you move forward. But you're going to get through it. And you have an incredible child who the world needs, and the world needs in their full potential. And you get the honor and joy and privilege of raising that kiddo. You've got this, and we've got you. You don't have to do it alone.
Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you being here with us this morning. That's all the questions that I have for you today. Is there anything else you want to share with us before?
Just thank you for the opportunity. The last thing I would say is just remember that your child's gender identity is super important. It's a super central part of who your child is, but it's not all of who your child is. It's not their whole story. It's not their whole self. Other things that you may not know is Emma is hilarious. Emma is super creative, very compassionate, desperately wants to be an older sibling, but that's not going to happen. So we're just like sharing the love and letting them love on other sibling or other children, and that their gender identity is central and it's important and it must be affirmed. But also remember that that's one piece of who they are. It's not all of it.
Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you being with us today. And that's all we have right now. And I hope people will join us again for another one of our Spectrum presentations. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.